Hello, here we are. We're about to launch into the what frame. Sometimes you just need to know the what frame. When you put someone in an exercise, put a classroom into an exercise, the why learners are the ones hanging out and making sure they've set ground rules and how they want to work with each other before they actually do the exercise. But the what learners, they do the actual exercise. Or depends. If it's a conceptual exercise, they do it. If it's an how exercise, they will talk about the concepts. They won't actually do the exercise. So the what learners are all about the facts. Just the facts, ma'am. They are in the what quadrant. When you're actually preparing the what quadrant, you want to use case studies and examples because it makes everybody happy, including the what learners. And one of the most important thing is, and I do this generally first, so I've told you out of order, but you're flexible, you'll work it out. You need a CPD hierarchy. So what's a CPD hierarchy? These are the concepts, the principles, and the details. For whatever it is you're teaching, you need to know what that concept is. What are the three subsets of that concept? And then for each of those, the three most important things that you're trying to get across. Now this is so fantastically important, I've actually prepared one. Here's one I prepared earlier. Look at this. Now I'm not going to spoil the ending by actually giving you all the information for the how and the what next frame, but here is my CPD hierarchy on using format to prepare. When you're preparing with a why frame, remember, we needed to make sure that we connected, that we drew on their past, and that we made promises that we would later deliver on, of course. We would use case studies and stories. In the what frame, we're going to use the CPD. Here it is. Woohoo! We're going to tell them facts. We're going to do pre-briefs. And of course, just like everything else, we will have case studies and stories so that the information that we give them comes alive and is real. For the how frame and the what next frame, you'll find out in a little while. Now, when preparing a what frame, you start with your CPD hierarchy and then you can flesh it out. And here's a bonus tip on the what frame. And have you ever been in a meeting where you've asked for questions, or a presentation, you've asked for questions and there's been the sounds of crickets? In the what frame, there's this little bit that happens just before we get into the how. Here's the how frame coming up behind us. There it is. Just before we get into how, there's what I call the pre-brief. So really it's a brief that comes before you give them an exercise. In a second, in the how frame, you'll put them into an exercise. Here you'll actually give them a heads up. While you're in this exercise, look for this. It's kind of like this. If you've ever been to a party where there was a really cute guy in the front room, but you weren't told about that really cute guy, or girl, depending on your preference, until you left the party, how sad was that? Because if your friend had just said, hey, there's a cute guy in the party in the front room, before you left, you could have checked him out. A pre-brief gives people ample time to set up, oh, I need to look for the cute guy. So whatever it is your exercise is, part of your what frame preparation is to decide what happened, what do you want them to do in the next frame, and how do you want them to prepare for it. Then you tell them what questions you're going to be asking them to think about. Later, when you debrief, you ask those same questions. It's like they knew the answer was on the test. It's a fantastic thing. So the what frame, it's all about when you're preparing, making sure that you're very clear on what it is that you're talking about. That's the what frame. Step number 2 in the presentation format that Bernice McCarthy discovered. It's the second of 2 approaches. And again, if you have 4 approaches, and again, any questions that you might have, please feel free to email me about them or bring them to the Q&A on Thursday. See you then. Next video, the how frame.